I'd like to welcome you to our program. I'm Gary Null. In our discussion, we're going to explore something that quite frankly, I've never been able to put together before. And sometimes the most convoluted and complex problems have such simple answers. That's one of the joys of living, just being present and being open to whatever is in front of us. The trouble is, what's in front of us we rarely see because of our particular bias. We need to see something. Our expectations, our dreams, our desires, our needs, our ambitions, our fear, all will distort what's in front of us. So even when we have the truth, we don't often embrace it because it doesn't meet our expectations. Have any of you, over the age of 40, ever just stopped for a moment and realized, my God, where did your life go?
Right? Yes.
Huh?
Yes, many times.
And then you think, gee, just 10 years ago, I was 30 or 35. Where'd it go? But when you were 25 and 30, you didn't think of that. Because when you looked in the mirror, you saw all black hair. You saw no wrinkles. You had a virile attitude towards life. You were still in the provings of life. You were still trying to prove your value by what you did with your family, your relationships, your education. You're out there competing. You're trying to establish your position within the hierarchy of life. But then once you achieved all that, by 40, 45 most have, and certainly by 50, then you start wondering, where's it going from here? I mean, what's the meaning of this? And then a loneliness sets in. A loneliness that, is this it? I mean, is this as good as it's going to get? Is this as good as it's supposed to feel? And if you didn't pay attention to those special moments while you were getting there, now what you do pay attention to are all those special moments that don't feel as good as they should. Now you want to know why a lot of people are in crisis? Because we're not connecting on the basics, just the basics. So you've got to understand that you cannot connect with that which you're not willing to engage. So when you want to connect with the emotional, think the emotional. Force yourself not to go back to any negative emotion. No more negative talk to yourself. Think positive about everything. The physical. When I saw Sam Skinner, a 57-year-old African-American male, who I've known for about 12 years, and I saw Sam run in a national championship race and win it, and he won, I think, 26 races and was outstanding track and field athlete of the year in the 50 to 60-year-old age group. I was so proud of him. He lives a simple existence. But when it comes to his emotional and spiritual and physical and interpersonal balance, he's connected on all the right levels, as is Sid Howard, 60-year-old who just set the world record in the 880 and did a 4-minute mile at age 60. He's got the body of a guy 18 years old. Now he's 60. So at 60, he's not looking towards getting older and dying. Every race he's looking at getting faster. These people were not born with these special gifts. They worked on them. And I believe that we have not connected with our physical except only when we were young and highly competitive and it suited our needs in our competitive cycle to see where we were against everyone else when we're comparing ourselves, or because it's summertime and we want to look halfway decent getting into a bathing suit or something. What if you simply wanted to see how healthy, how dynamic could you be physically? Now don't look at your body now, because what you're going to look at now is the body in disrepair, in decay, in neglect. What you have to do is forgive that and look and see the body you want. It's like Michelangelo said that within a block of granite, marble, whatever he was working with, he saw his finished work. And then it was just a matter of discovering it as he chiseled away. But he had to see it first. Otherwise, he'd have just created nothing from that. You have to be able to look in the mirror and see the ideal that you wish to be. I didn't say perfection, I said ideal. Isn't it interesting what happens when we start off the day with an ideal? And here's the ideal. And the ideal says that today my thoughts, my actions will be at this level. Now you cannot get me to come down to here or to here or to here where I would normally be. My whole life is based upon compromise. my emotions, my apathy, my disinterest, my lack of motivation, my lack of inner will and desire to be a better person is because of my compromises. I'm going back to where I was as an idealistic youth. I'm going back to an ideal that I will live at. Now, especially for the senior citizens who've been good citizens, who've done exactly what they were told to do and have been rewarded. And part of the reward is disease, cancer, arthritis, diabetes, dementia, incontinence. These are rewards of doing everything that the special interest groups told you to do. When was the last time you saw a senior citizen in a gym pumping iron? When was the last time you saw someone out there trying to get themselves in great shape in their 70s or 80s? Most are just trying to get through the day with as minimal effects from the side effects of the medications. Most of them are just trying to stall death as long as they can. So their whole mind is on disease. Your mind can't be in two places simultaneously. If you've attached your energy, listen to what I'm saying, if you've attached to the disease model, then you cannot attach to the wellness model because you can only be attached to one thing at a time. All right? So look carefully at what you're attached to, because whatever you're attached to, that's where the energy is, positive or negative. You can't attach to committing a crime and being benevolent and spiritual. You can't attach to deceiving someone emotionally, lying to them, manipulating them, betraying them, and unconditionally loving them. What are you attached to? Our confusion comes when we want both. We want the convenience of having an ideal that we're all aware of. We all know what our ideals should be. They're not so dissimilar one to another. If I ask everyone in this room, what's your ideals? What are your essential needs? Pretty much they're all the same. What are you looking for in a relationship? Certainly trust, unconditional love, kindness, thoughtful, joy, happiness, acceptance, bonding, right? We all want those things. But then what happens when someone says, well, I want those things, but I also want the freedom to lie or deceive or manipulate or con or use. So think of it this way. If you've connected to overeating, if you've connected to taking in toxic substances, if you've connected to not paying attention to your diet and the vitamins you need and the juices you should have because it's too much of an inconvenience and would cause you to feel discomfort, then you allow the discomfort to be what you connect to. And comfort is far more important to you than discomfort. So when I give you a choice of de-stressing by understanding what's causing your stress and facing it, or maintaining your comfort even if your comfort creates disease. Your smoking is comfortable. Doing heroin is comfortable. Cocaine is comfortable. Drinking yourself into oblivion is comfortable. Smoking is comfortable. Eating sugar is comfortable. Chocolate is comfortable. Hamburgers, French fries, artificial sweeteners, pesticides, those are all comforts. People don't go and eat these foods because they taste bad. They eat them because they're comfort foods or substances or addictive substances. But they're all part of that idea of this is what we've connected to. Don't mirror anything that makes us feel bad about who we are. So I think, all right, if I show you what will reverse all that, to lose the weight and feel better and de-stress and have a happier life, I was under the assumption that whole message would be appreciated. Now I realize it can't be appreciated, even though theoretically, intellectually it should be, because as a society, we don't grow as a whole. Because we don't make ourselves vulnerable to change as a whole. So someone says, okay, Gary, I got you. I want to lose 20 pounds, but I don't want to give up anything. You can only care about what you're connected to. And that's why we have so few people connected to social change, human rights, the things that really count in our world. Now, if you ask the average person, someone on the street, do you care about the suffering of other people? They say, yeah. You ask them, what are you doing about it? They say, nothing. And then the excuses. So what I found was, if we're going to get these people to be more than just superficial, of no consequent connecting, then they have to connect at the level that they're open to and hopefully start the process of disconnecting. Example, when I was doing my my De-Stress Now video, I went to a center in New York City where they were doing yoga, and hundreds and hundreds of people a day go to the center to do yoga, about 3,500 a week at just one place. But I noticed something outside in the street. I stayed for hours outside to see if my observation was correct. I saw people go right outside after doing the yoga and light up cigarettes. I saw them going into restaurants and drinking coffee. And I'm thinking, here they're doing a meditation, one that is allowing, and yoga is a very legitimate therapeutic model. But many of them, when I went over to talk with them, are going right back into highly stressing jobs that they don't like, that don't honor their life. They're not happy with many things in their life, but they escape all that for an hour and a half each day, or whenever they do it. So it's kind of like this healthy little habit they have, but it doesn't change anything. It changes an hour and a half out of a whole life, but it doesn't change their life. So therefore, for those people, not all of them, by the way, only changed superficially, but for most of them, it was a superficial change. I thought someone would go there because they had connected with enough other things, so they were not only doing yoga, they were also vegetarian, they were also exercising, they were also, living a more independent life and more open. That's not what I found at all. So again, this thing starts to come full circle. I'm starting to understand more and more why people don't change when they should and what happens to get them to change.